2 months after the events of the last film, the movie opens with a mysterious box. Inside it lies a powerful Russian AI known only as the Entity. Listening in on the entire world, the Entity begins manipulating global powers, sparking nuclear conflict between nations, and chaos spreads like wildfire. Amid this rising threat, we see our hero, Ethan Hunt. He's listening to a message from IMF director Erica. She thanks him for all the times he saved the world, for every mission he completed, for all the sacrifices he made, including the love he lost. And even when he defied IMF orders, Ethan always finished the mission for the sake of humanity. But now the Entity had evolved, becoming more powerful than ever, hijacking the internet, misleading the masses, and embedding itself into global governments. Only one thing could stop it, its source code, and the only man who knew about it was Gabriel. The IMF had already captured Gabriel's ally, Paris, but she refused to talk. Meanwhile, Ethan held one half of a key that could unlock the Entity, but he refused to return to the IMF, knowing they might use it to control the Entity rather than destroy it. Erica begs him to surrender, but Ethan chooses another path. In London, Ethan meets his old friends, Benji and Luther, in a secret hideout beneath the city. Luther, now gravely ill, had developed a device called Poison Bill, designed to disable the Entity. Despite his condition, Luther is determined to complete the mission. Ethan knows Gabriel must be found. Elsewhere, Paris is being transported by officers Jesper and Morris. As memories of Gabriel's betrayal resurface, Paris recalls how he once tried to kill her. Suddenly, masked attackers ambush them. Paris fights back. She's stunned to see it was Ethan who saved her, remembering that he spared her life in the last film. Moved by this, Paris spares him again. But then, Morris captures them both. Ethan convinces him and Jesper to trust him, for the sake of the world. They agree and join his team. Soon after, Ethan arrives at a party, intel provided by Paris, hoping to find Gabriel. But 2 IMF agents intercept him. Just then, Grace appears, stealing their radios and weapons, saying, "Timing is everything in a heist." A line that will echo in the climax. Ethan and Grace trap the agents and escape. Grace reveals her own vendetta against Gabriel and her desire to save the world. Ethan agrees to work with her, but suddenly henchmen ambush and knock them out. They awaken, captives of Gabriel. Gabriel taunts them, revealing Ethan's past, how his ex-wife Julia was once saved using a stolen bioweapon known as Rabbit's Foot, the very technology that helped create the Entity. Ethan is shocked. It was all connected and part of his own legacy. Gabriel demands the key. Ethan bargains, "Let Grace go first." Grace fires back, telling Gabriel he failed his mission for the Entity. He didn't retrieve the second key from the train, and that's why the Entity abandoned him. Gabriel admits it, but then he reveals the truth. They're all searching for a lost Russian submarine called Sevastopol, hidden deep beneath the ocean. Its wreck still containing the original source code for the Entity, a sub with stealth technology rendered invisible, and now the only hope of stopping the AI. Fishermen once found the key after officers aboard the sub died mysteriously. And now Gabriel offers Ethan a choice: find the Sevastopol or watch Grace die. In a bold move, Ethan pulls a poison pill from his teeth, ready to sacrifice himself. But Gabriel stops him. He needs Ethan alive to find the sub. Ethan fakes his death, but suddenly fights back, taking down every guard with brutal precision. Grace, stunned, watches as Ethan tells her, "I'll never let anything happen to you, and for you, I'll beat them all." Gabriel flees. Ethan reunites with his team, Paris, Morris and Benji. They find the box Gabriel used to communicate with the Entity. Paris says this is how he stayed in contact with it. Ethan connects to the box and is instantly trapped inside a virtual simulation. The Entity speaks directly to him, showing him visions, answers to all his questions, and even revealing a secret base in Africa. The Entity tempts Ethan to help it deliver the source code to that base, showing him a simulation of how he and his team would get there. But Ethan refuses. The entity retaliates, showing him a vision of Gabriel attacking Luther's base and gaining access to nuclear launch codes, unleashing global destruction, one missile at a time. And finally, the entity shows Ethan a future where the world burns, humanity collapses, and all of it is just the beginning. Seeing the horrifying visions inside the box, Ethan panics and pulls himself out. He knows now he must save Luther. He instructs his team to head north of Russia to track down the possible location of Sevastopol, the lost submarine. He asks them to transmit the coordinates to all nearby radios so the team can triangulate its exact position. Then Ethan takes the key and escapes, heading toward his base. Back at the base, Luther is under medical care, but then Gabriel arrives. He kills the nurse, and instead of killing Luther, he leaves him alive, but not without planting a bomb beside him, set to explode in just 10 minutes. Gabriel shows Luther the poison pill, the only device that can stop the entity, and walks away. A few moments later, Ethan arrives. He sees Luther trapped beside the bomb. Ethan tells him to defuse it, but Luther replies, "I can't shut it off, but I can remove the nuclear fuse conductor to reduce the blast radius." Doing that would save the city, but cost him his own life. Luther tells Ethan to forget about him and go after Gabriel, because now Gabriel holds the only working poison pill. Ethan insists, "Gabriel wants you dead because only you can make the pill. He kept me alive because he knows I can find the sub." Luther, with resolve, says, "Then you have to go. Now." Ethan, heartbroken, watches as Luther begins to remove the fuse conductor. He runs as fast as he can, and behind him, a massive explosion rocks the base. Ethan is thrown off, his body battered. Sometime later, Ethan staggers outside, only to be captured by London intelligence officers. They take the key from him and begin transporting him to their base. On the way, Jesper, one of the officers, asks Ethan about his partner, Morris. Ethan replies, "He's helping us save the world." Then Ethan looks at Jesper and says, "I know who you are. You're Jim's son." Referring to Jim Phelps, Ethan's former IMF boss from Mission Impossible 1, the man who betrayed his team and whom Ethan was forced to kill. Ethan asks, "Do you blame me for your father's death?" Jesper replies, "Why would I? I'm committed to my duty, but you've endangered the world too many times. This time, you will follow our orders." A little later, Jesper hands Ethan over to Eugene. Eugene informs him grimly, the entity has taken over the nuclear bases of India, Israel, Pakistan and North Korea, and just this morning, it seized France's base too. Only the UK, China, Russia and the US remain untouched. Eugene looks at Ethan and says, "This is all because of you. You created the entity." Ethan is then presented before the top American intelligence officials. As they begin reviewing his past missions, we see flashes from Ethan's previous adventures, the impossible missions that shaped him. Suddenly, Erica walks in. She's now the President of the United States and a former ally of Ethan's. She looks at him and asks, "What do you need?" Ethan replies, "I need this key, and I need a submarine that can infiltrate Russian waters undetected." The room bursts into laughter, but Ethan stands firm. "I'll go to the Sevastopol. I'll retrieve the source code. I'll destroy the entity myself. If we don't, the entity will launch a global nuclear assault. In the next 3 days, it will gain full control over 9 nuclear bases." And then he adds, "It will either force you to destroy the world or do it without your permission. Either way, the entity wins." "We'll take care of the entity." But Ethan responds, "It's not that easy. This isn't just a war of weapons, it's a psychological war. The entity knows you'll never trust me, but, Madam President, we've worked together before, and I'm asking you now, trust me." Though most of the officers oppose Ethan, Erica suddenly receives word. The UK's nuclear base has just been hacked. She turns to Ethan and asks, "Where's the key?" Ethan refuses to tell. He looks at her and says again, "Trust me." Erica then says, "If we don't stop it within 72 hours, I'll have no choice but to press the button." And with that, she orders Ethan to be escorted away to prison. As the officers lead Ethan to a helicopter, one of them quietly slips him the key and a letter, a secret plan from Erica herself. Moments later, Ethan takes off in the chopper, flying to a massive warship stationed at sea. Inside, he meets General Neely. He hands her Erica's letter. Neely reads it, and her face turns somber. She tells Ethan, "That date, years ago, Erica and I lost someone. We didn't trust him. We made a mistake. Erica says she won't make that mistake again. She's chosen to trust you." Ethan nods and says, "I need to reach one of our submarines in Russian territory. I'll track my team's signals, find the Sevastopol, dive in, extract the source code, and when I return to the surface, my team will be there to pull me out." Meanwhile, Benji briefs the team. He explains, Sevastopol sank in 2012. Fishermen later found a strange key near the site. Russia has underwater radar stations all across the region. We need to access one of those stations and locate where exactly the sub went down. Once they find the coordinates, they'll radio Ethan, who will dive down, recover the source code and surface. But time and conditions are brutal. Benji warns, when Ethan comes back up, he'll be weak, maybe even dead. We'll need to revive him immediately in a hyper-sleep chamber to keep him alive. General Neely adds, "We have a sub nearby. It's already in Russian waters. I can get you there in 2 hours, but it won't wait more than 30 seconds. Don't be late." Ethan nods. "I won't." Back at HQ, Erica's decision to let Ethan go shocks the entire command. But Erica stays silent, unshaken. She knows what's at stake. Meanwhile, Benji and the team arrive at the radar station, a small island facility. There they meet Dina, a woman working at the station. Inside, they encounter her husband, William. Benji freezes in disbelief. William was the one who designed the original intelligence software, the same system Tom Cruise stole in the very first mission, Impossible movie. Benji says, "I've read everything about your work. Your code was ahead of its time." William replies, "That software was stolen from me. That's why I've been hiding here all these years. How do you know so much about me?" Then Grace steps in. She explains about Sevastopol sinking in 2012 and how they need the sub's exact location to save the world. William sighs. "I warned everyone about this years ago." No one listened. Suddenly, Russian General Pavlov enters. He demands the Sevastopol's location, and before they can react, Pavlov's men surround the team. Benji and everyone are captured. On the other side, as Ethan was being flown toward the target zone, they spotted a massive Russian warship, and it had seen them too. Now they were in danger. Ethan insisted they wait for the submarine, but the Russian fighter jets were already preparing to engage. They had no choice. They turned back, but Ethan made a choice of his own. He jumped out of the plane, diving straight into the freezing waters below. The jets retreated, and Ethan was left alone, shivering, waiting in the cold for the submarine to arrive. Soon, a team of officers from the sub surfaced and pulled him aboard. Meanwhile, China's nuclear command was lost to the entity. President Erica stared at a picture of her son, overwhelmed with grief. Back on the sub, Ethan was brought in and met Captain Brad, the commanding officer. Brad thought Ethan was crazy for jumping into the ocean like that, but Ethan replied, "My friends are up there right now, working on radioing the coordinates to us. Every hour for the first 15 minutes, you need to surface and deploy the antenna. That's when we'll catch the signal." Brad agreed. He also warned Ethan, "There are other dangerous Russian submarines nearby. They're searching too. Maybe they also know about Sevastopol." Ethan understood now. Russia was hunting the same code. Meanwhile, on land, William explained to the team, "I don't have the data anymore. In 2013, an unknown team stole everything from me. Back then, we used to write code in notebooks. If you're lucky, you might still find the original coordinates in those. Pavlov demanded the coordinates, promising to let them all go in return. That's when Grace realized the Russians had the second key to the entity. They weren't just searching, they wanted control of the source code. Back on the submarine, Ethan was shown the special deep-sea diving suit by officers Mark and Kira. The suit was custom-made for high-pressure, deep-water missions. It could withstand the depth, but Ethan's body might not survive the stress. Still, Ethan was ready. Meanwhile, William, now trusting Benji's team, revealed, "I knew Sevastopol's coordinates were important, so I memorized them. I'll give them to you. Send someone you trust."